Hey friends, let's understand a poem today. The Thought Fox is a well-known poem written by British poet Ted Hughes, first published in his collection The Hawk in the Rain in 1957. The poem is celebrated for its vivid imagery and the exploration of the creative process, using the metaphor of a fox to depict the emergence of a poem in the mind of the poet. The poem begins in a dark and silent setting, with the speaker sitting alone in a room at night. As he sits at his desk, he listens intently, waiting for inspiration to strike. Suddenly, he hears a rustling sound outside, and a fox appears in his imagination. The fox is portrayed as a symbol of the poet's creative thoughts. Hughes beautifully describes the fox's presence in the poem, as it gradually takes shape and comes to life on the blank page. The fox's movements, described as a hot, thin stream of blood, symbolize the flow of ideas and imagination that the poet experiences as he begins to write. The fox's eyes, filled with a fiery intensity, represent the poet's passion and intensity of thought. The poet then explores the transformative power of the creative process. As the fox takes form, the landscape around it, described as a fox's nose touches twig, leaf, transforms into the imagery and metaphors of the poem. The lines written by the poet become the very essence of the fox's existence. In the final stanzas, the poet reflects on the completion of the poem. He describes how the fox retreats into the darkness of the night, leaving behind the finished work on the page. The poem, as a product of the poet's imagination, becomes a tangible manifestation of his thoughts and emotions. The thought fox is often interpreted as an allegory for the act of creation and the poetic process. Hughes captures the moment of inspiration and the gradual manifestation of ideas in a deeply evocative and sensory manner. The poem features a distinct rhyme scheme, employs various poetic devices, and utilizes rich language to enhance its imagery and meaning. It follows a loose and irregular rhyme scheme. While it does not adhere to a specific pattern, there are instances of internal rhyme and half rhyme scattered throughout. For example, in the first stanza, night and tide form an internal rhyme, and in the third stanza, moves and leaf create a half rhyme. Over to the poetic devices used in the poem. Metaphor. The entire poem can be seen as a metaphorical exploration of the creative process, with the fox representing the poet's thoughts and ideas. Enjambment. Hughes employs enjambment extensively throughout the poem, allowing ideas and images to flow seamlessly from one line to the next. This technique contributes to the sense of fluidity and movement within the poem. Imagery. The poem is rich in vivid and sensory imagery. Hughes employs visual and tactile imagery to depict the fox and its actions, as well as metaphorical imagery to convey the emergence of the poem on the blank page. Personification. The fox is personified, given human-like qualities and actions. It enters the page and dances in its physical manifestation, enhancing the idea of the poem coming to life. Language. Alliteration. Hughes employs alliteration to create rhythm and enhance the musicality of the language. Sensory language. The poem is filled with sensory details, using words that appeal to sight, sound, touch, and even taste. This helps to immerse the reader in the poet's experience and the vivid imagery of the fox's presence. Symbolism. The fox is symbolic of the poet's creative thoughts and ideas. Through its movements and actions, the poet explores the process of artistic creation and the transformative power of imagination. Overall, the Thought Fox showcases a blend of imaginative language, poetic devices, and vivid imagery to depict the emergence of a poem within the mind of the poet. It invites readers to witness the act of creation and the profound connection between the creative process and the natural world.